In this video, we're going to begin to look at data types in SQL. I'm going to be referencing SQL Server 2019 for developers, and I'm on page 245. Okay, so the first data type is a char, or character data type. A char holds a certain number of bytes up to 8,000. So there are 8,000 max that you can store in char. It's a fixed length field, and the N represents a number of string characters, so a number of bytes. So you can store whatever you specify as N, that's how many bytes or characters you're going to be storing. So that's the number of bytes that will be used when you specify a char data type. Char is less common. It's not commonly used anymore because it's not as efficient as varchar. Varchar stands for varying character or character varying field. So it's a variable length field, so it's only going to use up the maximum number of characters that's actually stored in that field. So if you specify a large number for N, it's only going to use the number that's stored, not the maximum number. So that's why it's more efficient than char. Then we have nchar and nvarchar. The N stands for national, so national character and national variable or varying character fields. So again, char is fixed length, but the N, again, the N stands for national, but it stores Unicode data or Unicode character sets. A Unicode character is a character that defines every character in most of the speaking languages in the world. So a difference between char and varchar and nvarchar and nchar is that Unicode, or the nchar and nvarchar, they use double the number of spades. It uses double the number of spades. So char and varchar uses 1 byte. nvarchar uses 2 bytes. When you specify nvarchar, again, as I was saying, it's going to allow you to store Unicode characters. And Unicode characters are stored with the U followed by a plus sign, and then you have a hexadecimal number. So one of these will represent every character. Or, I'm sorry, yeah, every character. So Unicode supports more than 1 million code points, and again, it supports characters in most of the languages in the world. So companies are increasingly global in nature. So when you work with global companies, global data, you might want to use nchar. So this is becoming the norm now, where you see characters stored as nchar and nvarchar. So we have character data, then we have numeric data. So the numeric data types are on page 243 in this version of your textbook. So the first type is a big int. big ints store very large numbers. So big ints store numbers up to 9 quintillion. So from a lower value, negative 9 quintillion to positive 9 quintillion. Integers are 4 bytes, and I think I'm going to make another video to show you where these numbers come from. This 9 quintillion, this 2 billion number. So integers are 4 bytes, and they store numbers up to 2 billion and some odd numbers. A small int is 2 bytes. A tiny int is 1 byte, and a bit is just going to hold a value of 1 or 0 to represent on or off. So as you can see, you use tiny int when you're just going to have very small numbers for a data field, and a tiny int for very small numbers up to 255. You can't use negative numbers with a tiny int. And then a small int, you'll be able to use numbers up to 32,767. Then there are numbers where you have a decimal point, and decimal is the more common. Numeric and decimal are really the same. The only difference is the name. So the decimal data type, you have a number of total characters, and then you have a number of decimal places. So you would define a decimal type like this. So let's say we wanted to store a number that looked something like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total numbers and 2 decimal places. So this is how we store decimal values. Now you can use money and small money, and there are arguments for just sticking with decimal or numeric rather than money or small money. So if you look on the internet, you'll see arguments both ways. It has to do with precision and multiplying monetary values. Then there's a float decimal type and a real, when you're again going to be working with very large numbers where you need precision. But you don't want to use float for monetary values. And then the final data type is date time. So with date time, you're going to have the ability to store dates and the time portion of a date. So date time is the most common type of data type for dates. And it's going to look like this. You'll have the 2-digit month and a slash, and you'll want to store your dates just like this. And then the two-digit day, then the century and the year portion of the date. So again, this is the date time data type. And then you'll have a space, and I'm just going to represent a box. I'm just going to type a box to represent or write a box to represent your space here. So you would just type a space on the keyboard. Then you would list the 2-digit hour, 2-digit minute, 2-digit second, and then you would list the 2-digit millisecond, and I'll just use L to represent milliseconds. So this is how the date time would be stored. So for example, today is February 27th, so we would do like that. And the year, I'm sorry, the century and year, and then we have our space. Then the hour, I'll just make up a time, 10:06, 23 seconds, and 43 milliseconds. So this is how a date time will be stored. And you can store dates from January 1st, 1953 through December 31st, 1999 with the accuracy of 3.33 milliseconds. Now, date time, small date time stores dates and times between January 1st, 1900 and 2079 with the accuracy of 1 minute. So this is the more accurate and flexible date time data type, and this is the more common one. So date time is more accurate, flexible, and more common. Then you have just the different components you can store. You can store date only, a time only, and then there are different variations. There's an offset. Now these are less common. So date time 2N allows you to store dates from January 1st, 0001 through 1999. With times, and it looks like these are even more precise times here. You can also format dates, and these are some of the common date time formats in SQL. So you can format dates, and we'll be looking at how to do that in the next week or so, maybe even this week. So with date formatting, there's a, let's see here. Here, there's a code that you can specify to produce the format of the date, the format that you would like. So you have codes and then the format. Okay, so that's all for this video. I'll come back and we'll look at another video, or I'll create another video on how to determine, we'll just look a little deeper into these data types, these numeric data types here.